You definitely don't want to get accused of that, especially in the climate you're in now. So in this point, it just seems like Blizzard, in their attempt to mitigate the damage, just keeps compounding it. They got caught shredding documents or allegedly shredding documents. Now they're caught allegedly causing labor violations to prevent people from discussing some of these things. So they're trying to mitigate the damage, but they're making it worse every single time. I don't know how they keep messing this up. Yo, what's up? So it's been a while since I've done like a Blizzard update in terms of how they're handling the lawsuit or any of the news related to that at all. So it felt like a good time to do that. And actually, there's two stories out recently, one good and one that's not good at all, actually. So I'm going to talk about the bad one first and then lead into the good one. But that being said, if you do like these article reviews and stuff like that, please like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below to help out with the algorithm. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the articles here. All right, so we have Activision Blizzard accused of committing labor violations to stop employees from talking about labor violations. So, a bit of a joke headline here because they're committing a labor violation to stop people from talking about labor violations. Ironic, but let's figure out exactly what they mean here. So, Activision Blizzard employees and the Communications Workers of America filed a complaint together. So, the Communications Workers of America, basically, they help other companies and unions. Although Blizzard doesn't really have a union right now, they could, and the people at Blizzard, the employees at Blizzard, are operating in a very similar capacity that a union would operate. So these people are helping them out with that. So, with the help of a major union, Activision Blizzard employees have filed a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board alleging that the game development and publishing giant has intimidated, surveilled, and interrogated workers to discourage them from discussing labor conditions such as those raised by the discrimination lawsuit filed against Activision Blizzard in July. Now, this is interesting because you basically have you basically have these employees raising this from just a state level to a national level here. They're going from California to the National Labor Relations Board. And we'll get into what the allegations are that the company has allegedly done. But supposedly it's pretty bad in terms of like limiting what employees are allowed to do. You definitely don't want to get accused of that, especially in the climate you're in now. So in this point, it just seems like Blizzard, in their attempt to mitigate the damage, just keeps compounding it. They got caught shredding documents or allegedly shredding documents. Now they're caught allegedly causing labor violations to prevent people from discussing some of these things. So they're trying to mitigate the damage, but they're making it worse every single time. I don't know how they keep messing this up. Yeah, let's go ahead and continue. So it says in the last 6 months, Activision Blizzard has threatened and told employees they cannot talk about wages, hours, and working conditions or investigations about them. The investigations that led to the July lawsuit, for example. So clearly, you are allowed at work, a employer, especially in California, who has really strong labor laws. They can't prevent you from talking about your wages or like how much you work or the conditions of your work, and they especially cannot prevent you from talking to authorities about violations that are happening. So like where it says here, it's preventing them from talking about investigations about them. It doesn't really stipulate if that means talking to authorities or talking to other employees. It could probably be both, and I would guess that they probably don't want them talking to anyone about it. And so if you're encouraging employees or if you're discouraging employees from talking about those things, especially with authorities, that's a big no-no. And I think most people could understand why. Pretty much like if you're threatening an employee that like, oh, if you talk to these people, you're going to lose your job, that means that now you're hindering an investigation from the state. And why else would you do that other than you think that the investigation is bad enough to hurt your revenue and that it's valid enough to hurt your revenue? So that is a major problem. And then it says maintained an overly broad social media policy. Now, this is a little bit, I don't really know how most companies handle like a social media policy. I know that, Blizzard employees are very, very vocal on Twitter, and that must be what they're talking about, like Twitter, Reddit, or like, any other place where people post to like huge amounts of people about what's going on. So when it says uh maintain an overly broad social media policy, I assume that means that they're preventing them from talking about any goings on at the workplace. And that doesn't seem that weird to me. I feel like most places probably don't want you talking about the workplace at all, unless you're in a direct communication with like customers or something like that. But this one's a little bit too vague for me to understand what they mean. But considering how vocal the Blizzard employees have been in the past, maybe that's why they're trying to stymie that a little bit. So that that could be a problem too if the public doesn't know about the goings on within the company. Some of those it shouldn't know, but it has no way to rally for the employees, right? So if the public and the consumers of the game don't know that the employees are being mistreated, how could they possibly rally to help the employees? They can't. So that's also one of the reasons that Blizzard would want to prevent this. And then we have enforce the social media policy against employees who have engaged in protected concerted activity. Now, it's saying that it's unfairly putting this social media policy on employees who have tried to organize against these allegations and against some of the like pay issues or hourly issues or discrimination issues. It's saying that it unfairly enforced these social media policies against those employees explicitly. So it's like targeting people, which in a way is discrimination, right? So it's kind of targeting people speaking out about discrimination. Threatened or disciplined employees on account of protected concerted activity. Now, obviously, protected is in the sense that you're allowed to talk about working conditions and wages and hours and stuff like that. By law, you're allowed to do that. So that's why it says protected, and it's threatened or disciplined. And if those things are protected, then you can't threaten or discipline them for those things. Obviously, it's like the same thing as race. Race is a protected class in America. You can't discriminate or threaten or discipline based on race. This is the same thing. These are protected activities that they're threatened and disciplining employees on. That's an issue. Engaged in surveillance of employees, engaged in protected concerted activity, and engaged in interrogation of employees about protected concerted activity. So clearly, now it would, I don't know if it's necessarily bad for you to like interrogate. Like I don't know what interrogate really means. Like just asking questions. That's like most companies are going to ask questions if you're doing things that they don't like. Although the fact that it's a protected concerted activity is where it becomes a problem. They can't start surveilling you and interrogating you over things that are protected. It's the same reason. So basically all these hinge on the idea that these are protected things that employees are allowed to do on a national level, and they are not, and they're being threatened or surveilled or punished for these kinds of things that they should not be in any case or any circumstances. Like employers should stay out of this every single time. No employer should ever get involved with these protected activities because it's against the law for them to do so. And in fact, this thing gives us a definition here. Protected concerted activity refers to employees discussing ways to improve their workplace or organization or organizing into labor groups, including collective bargaining groups. Basically, like this is basically like a union, although it doesn't have to officially be a union. Like you're not gonna have to like actually like file for it to be a union or have your dues paid for a union. There, because this is basically what happened during the walkout is they came together and they said these are the things we wanted, and now they formed this thing. It's called, so a better ABK is a better Activision Blizzard King, I believe. So that's what this group of employees is. So they said in partnership with Code CWA, and Code CWA being that major union that they've worked together with, we filed an unfair labor practice suit with the National Labor Relations Board. And then you can see the official claim right here. Is This is basically it. So This is it right here. This and then so now we get some information about the CWA. Basically, the CWA is a national union with 1,200 chartered local unions. So a national union being made up of 1,200 smaller local unions with a focus on telecommunications, IT, airline, news media, and broadcast media. It represents an estimated 700,000 members across the public and private sectors. That is a massive number of people to have under your union. So we can imagine that the CWA has a lot of power, which is good for the employees, but bad for the company, right? Obviously. Um, if the NLRB rules, this is the national, whatever, what is it called? The National Labor Relations Board. So if the NLRB rules in our favor, the ruling will be retroactive and we will set precedent that no worker in the US can be intimidated out of talking about forced arbitration, the ABetterABK account tweeted today. So, one, retroactive means that it goes backwards, right? Retroactive means that people who were discriminated in the past and had no recourse now have recourse as well. And then also, this is talking about specifically forced arbitration. Now, forced arbitration is, I think they talk about it. I don't know if I necessarily agree with what they say. A common employment contract clause, which requires certain employee company disputes to be settled privately. That's kind of true, but it's not just like privately, it's still with a judge. You're just not settling it in like an official court. You're just not settling it in court. You're settling it in arbitration with usually a retired judge that pays more. And he's obviously going to favor the party. He's not supposed to, but he's probably going to favor the party that's paying him, right? So that's why a lot of people don't like forced arbitration. Forced arbitration is probably always cheaper overall, but it's also probably has more problems than just going to court if you're not the one paying the arbiter, right? Like that makes sense. If I'm getting paid by a if I'm getting paid by a company to be an arbiter, then I'm probably going to want to take their side so they pay me again in the future. It's just has some weird issues with like, or it just has some weird conflict of interest issues. So that's why companies like forced arbitration and most employees don't. So this was the bad news. Activision Blizzard stumbling over themselves yet again. It seems to be what they're best at these days is making a situation worse than it really has to be. So now we look at the good news. So Activision Blizzard hires former Disney exec as new HR boss. Now this is a good thing and we'll go into why in a bit. So new chief people officer Julie Hodges takes over diversity and inclusivity commitment amid California lawsuit fallout. Formerly the senior vice president of corporate HR and compensation, benefits and talent acquisition at Walt Disney Company, and its new chief people's officer will replace Activision's current CPO Claudine Naughton, will lead all aspects of human resources. Now, this is important. Talent acquisition at the Walt Disney Company, because if we look up diversity at the Walt Disney Company, and this is by no means like the end all be all of proving that Walt Disney is diverse and good, but overall, it rates pretty okay when it comes to diversity and inclusion, like top 25%, and that's pretty good, okay? Considering that Activision Blizzard is probably in the bottom 25% right now after this lawsuit came out. But I mean, so we have someone with experience in this area kind of coming in to fill the role of this person, Claudine Naughton, who has clearly seemed to fail at her job. Hodges, who spent 32 years at Disney, leaned into similar themes in her own statement, emphasizing the need to welcome all perspectives, experiences, and backgrounds. Of course, they're just playing PR, right? They're saying like, "Oh yeah, we love everybody. Everybody's welcome. We're going to be nice to everybody from now on." I hope so. A rep told Steven Totilo of Axios Gaming that Naughton's departure is unrelated to the lawsuit. Now, the reason I highlighted this is because this is fucking bullshit. There is no way it's unrelated to the lawsuit. Why would you replace your CPO, the person in charge of diversity, after you just got sued for not being diverse or like not being fair in your diversity? How is that not related to the lawsuit? That is such a lie. Why would you even say that? Now it makes me believe anything Activision Blizzard says even less. Why would they say that? Oh my god, like it's just brain dead. This statement right here is so stupid to me. Oh my god. it hurts my head to think about how actually stupid that statement would be to make after all this just happened. Because yeah, you just degraded your trust even more by just like bold-faced lying like that. But hey, that's all for these two articles. So I told you, one good, one bad. And I think the bad is really, really bad, and the good is okay. So it's not like they're equally good and equally bad. It's like one is horrible and the other is like okay. Um, oh, I don't know. Activision Blizzard just it feels like every single week or couple weeks now, they fuck up again every time. I don't know how they this keeps happening to them, honestly. It's like at some point they'd have to learn not to keep making these like basic mistakes. Or maybe they'll get away with them and then show us all wrong and say like, "See, it would have been way worse." Or I guess we'll never know, right? But hey, that's my opinion on these articles. I would love to know what you guys think in the comments below, if you think that the acquisition of the new CPO matters at all, or if you think that the labor violations are surprising at all, cuz honestly, I'm not surprised at this point. Like it's just expected, like I don't know what Blizzard's going to do next. They're probably going to start firing all of the women, and then it's just going to be an all-male workforce, and then they're going to be like, "See, we eliminated discrimination." I don't know, but hey, if you liked the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel, because I love covering this kind of stuff. I don't just do Activision Blizzard stuff. I do a whole bunch of other stuff. So check out my channel, but that's all for the video. Thanks a lot for watching. Peace.